sometimes from disorders.
Yeah.
And because there are no desks per se.
Yeah.
They're not sitting in rows. It can be a struggle for the teacher and for other students in the class. It can be disruptive.
Yeah.
So, what was the other part you asked me? Okay, so how have I changed? I've seen the change over a year or a semester.
Yeah.
Of the fact that most will say, we have a job to do, and they have you've given a project. Like, not every day is not a new topic. If it's a continued topic, the goals are set, and they become more committed, and they don't want to waste time.
Right.
But they're normal. So I'm being very honest.
Yeah.
It's sometimes you get kids who are disruptive, and the others, their work is disruptive, and they get frustrated.
Yeah.
So, you have to practice certain strategies for, removing sometimes that child from the situation.
Yeah. So it goes both ways. It's not always.
It goes both. No. But I have seen that they become more engaged and responsible.
Right.
And their behavior is not as disturbing.
Yeah.
So, but it has to be done with respect by the teacher, and that's the problem. It's really hard because teachers are human beings.
Definitely. Yeah.
And they can lose their cool.
Yeah. Sure.
So it's what I'm trying to find the expression here. It's a fine line.
Yeah.
It's controlling, and yet letting the kids feel that they're not being overly controlled.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. And then how, you talked a bit about this, but if you had anything else to add in this regard, how have you seen drama affect relationship skills?
I'm just trying to think how I could put it in to make it more specific for you. There's so many relationships, right? There's the teacher-student relationship, the student-student relationship. There's students and other adults' relationships.
Yeah.
Within the family. I can only say that students become supportive and in the classroom learning situation, and encouraging, and their cooperation, listening skills. These are responding, speaking skills. So these are all skills that transfer again to your everyday relationships. The ability to listen and be heard as well, are very important in establishing positive peer relationships. Definitely. So, they're able to practice that within the group, and the teacher has to be vigilant to oversee that this is going on as well. If you have 10 groups in a class going on at the same time, you have to work. But no, I've seen that the helping kind of relationship development is visible. You can see that. Because that's what they do.
Yeah. And then how about self-management skills?
Well, I think I've covered that as well in some way. Self-discipline, self-management.
Yeah.
When the behavioral issues that can come about when they lose concentration.
Right.
So it's getting the student to identify when they themselves are off base and have to pull their reins in on themselves. And they do.
Yeah.
Because they can't let the group down.
Right. That's a good point.
If they're too individualistic and solo and narcissistic, it becomes a problem for the other students. Yeah. So they have to learn to be unselfish and generous.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay. And then moving into learning differences, what is your experience with students who have learning differences? And then so we can talk a little bit about that, like if they had accommodations, modifications, any to discuss that experience.
Yeah. Well, the modifications for when they're doing their final presentations, like those particular students would be given extra time. And that's kind of difficult when you've got others who aren't given that extra time, right?
Yeah.
Because there's not a huge written component. There is, if they're doing in grade, in the senior levels, if they're doing some script work.
Yeah.
There is writing, and getting something down in print. So it's hard. Mm-hmm. It's a challenge for the teacher, but they do have to give the extra time. But also some other modifications.
Or more specifically,
translate. Like I dealt with a student who had hearing assistance. You see, so you have to wear the hearing assist device and work with that student, or they sometimes have a teaching assistant with them.
Right.
So you would involve that. But there are students, I'm not sure I'm answering your question.
Oh, yeah. Did you ever have, just more, broadly, did you have...
I had autistic kids.
Okay.
I dealt with autism in the classroom. And the Asperger's, and they would, but the other students were always aware and respectful. Mm-hmm. It's really interesting. I never had an experience where students were acted out. Well, in the special ed classroom, there was a problem, but in the drama classroom, no. And it was really interesting. So there you go. There's the respect and relationship. Mm-hmm. That the regular student, you don't ever say normal, so to speak. But they all everyone has learning styles. Mm-hmm. Even a student with special needs, they have linguistic needs or behavioral needs. Mainly, I became pretty good with the behavioral.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe I was too soft. Yeah. So, but as I say, it's a really fine line.
Definitely, yeah.
So,
and so then the difference, right, between when you were in the special education class and drama class, like what would you attribute that difference to?
Well, everybody had their own curriculum. Like, it was really hard because you didn't have they all had different classes, so they had to spend some time doing work from the other classes, right?
Yeah.
And then they'd have to get a credit, so you'd have to have like a lesson, and it might be on what's it called? Mind mapping, right? Or, learning strategies for writing or developing an essay in the senior levels, right? So that, you'd be teaching that little lesson for like 15 minutes. But then, so the class would be divided into different sections, and you'd be running around to each kid, and then they'd be on the computer and they'd be practicing. Some of them had writing needs problems, right? Mm-hmm. They couldn't hold a pen.
Yeah.
So it.
But then in drama.
But in drama, everyone. I mean, you didn't have that you didn't have such a diversity of learning needs, you know. Everybody, like pretty well, the kids who are special ed, I would find that you couldn't really even tell who was who.
Yeah.
You couldn't, you know, because everybody's pretty much the same. And you're, you know, if you're doing a theme and you're exploring a story, you know, you're doing improvisation, like everyone was okay, you know, and the same.
Yeah.
So you don't have the differentials, and there's no desks, you know, and there's no.
Yeah.
Yeah, the expectation is different as well.
Mm-hmm. So then those students, you mentioned students with autism, how would, like, what was their, do you have any memories of their experience with drama, how it affected their learning or their behavior?
Yeah, it was focusing. It helped them with that. It helped, it had a calming. At times there was, you know, you could see the student might be flustered, right? But for the most part, I think it had a calming influence. And as I say, when they didn't have to worry about things, their anxiety level was lessened.
Yeah.
And they were working in groups, and they'd have an assistant sometimes with them, but for the most part, they didn't need one, you know? So, and to be honest, a lot of the students who had the special needs, and they were on the spectrum, they were good students.
Yeah.
Especially the girls, for some reason. I found that, so they could.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they were that bad, they wouldn't be in the school. They'd be withdrawn. You know what I mean? If they were mute,
of course,
or whatever. But I noticed one kid. I'll never forget. He was a selective mute, but in my drama class, he spoke very quietly to others and was expressive.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have known. You would not have known. But sitting in a history class, nope. Wow. No answering questions, no communication with the teacher, no nothing.
Wow. Yeah, I have done some research on the influence of drama with students who have autism, and it's been really fascinating to learn about it. And then, just quickly, in terms of student learning, do you think how are students with different learning differences, like, how does that affect their student learning? Sorry.
You mean doing drama?
Yeah. So while they're doing drama, do you have any memories or experiences where students with learning differences had success with their learning?
You know, I honestly, this is like just my gut reaction, okay? Because I haven't worked on any research in that area, right? Or studied it. But I would assume, and I would say that they definitely, as I say, they are not focusing on their learning needs.
Yeah.
So they're, I'm going to just say yes. I have observed that. It's been successful. They're, you know, I haven't looked at evaluations to see, you know, but from talking with other instructors and teachers, you know, they have seen that it's beneficial. And that's why they want them in the drama class.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, they're directed to do that so that they feel confident. I think a lot of it is confidence. I hate to tell you. With the confidence, they're able to learn better. Yeah.
And that confidence too, like with students who have anxieties and any mental health issues too, I've read that can really help them as well.
Yep. Yeah. I faced problems in my teaching where some parents actually complained I was doing meditation and relaxation.
Wow, really?
We're talking more than 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and also, so I had some issues with people who didn't understand at that time. And now mindfulness is au courant.
Yeah.
So, but I feel that that also transfers to lessening anxiety. And when you have less anxiety, you're able to absorb. It's a flow chart.
Yeah, definitely. Mindfulness, it's come a long way, and it definitely helps students from a very young age. But I think drama as well.
I would do it at the beginning of my classes. You come in and you lie down, and I put on the music, and we would breathe.
That's awesome.
And we would,
That's
and I would do guided imagery and whatnot. But it was threatening.
Yeah.
Many years ago, people thought mind control, and anyway. So I've been through the gamut of this, but it's now done all the time. I mean, teachers take 10 minutes out during the day to do it.
Yeah, exactly, in any classroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's great that you were doing it even 20 years ago, because you were trailblazing.
Well, I believed in that kind of learning. And,
definitely.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to start a drama class, so.
Yeah. Well, when you take yoga, I incorporated a little bit of yoga work in. When you do, that's what they do. You do a shavasana at the beginning of a yoga class and at the end. And it brings all the learning together.
Definitely.
It's able to settle down, and once your mind is settled, and you forget, I'd say leave everything outside the door when you walk in.
Yeah.
We'll shut the door, and everything that's bothering you can leave it right outside. You can decide whether to pick it up or not when you get back out into the hall. But yeah.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
So what else, my love?
Those are all of my questions.
We got through them.
We did.
10 to 4. Perfect.
Yeah. So thank you so much for your time and for helping. And that was.
Do you think you can translate this?
Oh, absolutely.
I didn't want it to sound too rambly, but...
Oh, no. No. You did such a great job.
Okay, good.
Yes.